stream. You're live. We're live.
Live.
We'll do it live.
We are doing it live currently.
We are doing it
hey,
live.
Hey, it's live. We're live.
Do we hear this? We do. Good. All right.
Love that.
We are live on Memorex.
I don't think I even know what Memorex is.
Haha, I do. I'm old.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay to be old. That's what they say. That's what they tell us.
Who tells you that?
People who are even older than me tell me it's okay to be old.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. You ready for all this fun stuff?
I was born that way.
Let's do it. On this episode of Bantha Milk Podcast, Mando is back.
Pew, pew, pew.
Intro music.
He's no good to me dead.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
A complicated profession that's back.
It's back.
Bounty
Thank
hunting
goodness.
is back. Mando,
Bounty hunting.
Din Djarin, Kyle the Mandalorian,
Kyle.
And his buddy Norman.
Steve
the bad guy.
Steve the bad guy.
We had a lot of Steve bad guys in this episode.
There were a lot of Steve bad guys in this episode.
But it's great. Man, I'm excited. We're back. Another episode of Bantha Milk Podcast.
I think it's episode number 92.
Number 92. We're closing in on the centurial mark.
Yes.
I might have made that word up.
Dumb like me. 100.
Yeah, I don't know. I just made that up.
It sounds good.
There's like a 0% chance that
is
actually
an actual
a word. But that's okay because it's 100, so we can make it nice and fancy.
We sure can.
So is like, you have like the 10-year anniversary is the 10 anniversary. Is there a 100-year anniversary?
I don't think anybody lives to be 100-year anniversary.
What if you get married at 19 and you live to be 119?
50 is a big one because that was like...
Is 50 gold?
Gold, yeah.
So it would be twice as good as gold.
Platinum?
That's got to be like 75 though, right?
Yeah, I think 75 because I don't think anybody has lived... You would have to be...
Beskar.
Beskar. The 100 is Beskar. Yes.
It is the Beskar anniversary.
That's it. That is
like
perfect. I love it.
So we're closing in on our 100th and our Beskar episode, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm going to call it.
That's what we're going to call it, the Beskar episode.
But here we are for 92, and it looks like, well, how many episodes of Mando are going to be in this season? Do we know?
I think it's 8 again, unfortunately.
Okay, so
only 8.
That leads to our 100th episode.
Yeah, it'll take us right to our 100th episode.
Someone listening to us in the car just swerved off the road. But yeah, all right. So episode 100 should be a hoot here. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about episode 92. Let's first. 92. It's been a long week, Rob.
It has been. Oh my God,
let's pass that over.
Yes, let's pass that over. So we have what I found in the back of the refrigerator. So I'm sure it's delicious.
Love it.
The Big Wave Golden Ale from Kona Brewing.
Oh, look at that! You can see that Hawaii is on the actual bottle.
Yes, because Kona is a Hawaiian brewery, so they are from Hawaii.
Well, isn't Kona Blend Coffee also Hawaiian?
Yeah, because Kona means Hawaii in Hawaiian.
Does it really?
No, I just made that up.
Oh man,
just like your
you sold that.
Yeah, I did sell it.
That was nice.
So that was the one thing my wife and I always talk about. We try to tell our kids, if you say something with enough authority, people will believe you.
That's true.
So so Kona means Hawaii in Hawaiian.
Yeah, we're gonna have like someone from Hawaii. The one person from Hawaii who listens to us is gonna like be very angry at us.
They'll be like, no, they're yelling right now. How dare you?
How dare you insult?
They're yelling at YouTube right now. You guys are morons.
That's right. Right,
stick to Star Wars. Don't stick to Hawaii.
Let's hear it.
All right, let's see what happens. Because it's coming out of a bottle, so it's not gonna have the same. Psst.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't bad.
Wasn't bad. No, it wasn't bad.
Here,
can you
try me?
Try you? Here you go. Right. Oh man! Luckily that was not on camera. Since it wasn't on camera, it never happened.
I caught that.
Nick did.
And I did like a cool flip trick with it.
He did. It was
really
really cool.
It's a bummer that wasn't on camera. Here, let's see. I don't know.
See
a little bit.
Not bad. It was good. Yeah.
Here we go. Ah!
Oh dear.
Yeah, we need this for sure.
Yeah.
All right. How did your pour go?
It's hard to tell.
It really is hard to tell.
Yeah.
Is my mic hot?
You have it angled a little bit.
Hello.
There
That's
a
little
now
better,
it's
I
better.
guess.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, so we're pouring the Kona.
Pouring in the Kona. While we're talking about that, Freestyle Watches, don't forget to go to our website and click on the link for Freestyle Watches to get 10% off with our link, Bantha Milk. Ooh, you pushed the head right to the edge.
Yeah, this was not my best work.
No, you were a little distracted there.
Yeah.
So while we're waiting for that to drop down,
while I wait to drink my beer.
Yes, answer these 3 trivia questions for me.
Oh, you came with cards.
Well, I mean, I've had these sitting here. This is. There's like 25 questions. I'm asking you 3 at a time. We're going to be here for a long time.
I love it.
Who has been called the most loathed fictional character to arrive in the past 20 years?
Jar Jar Binks.
Correct. Ding, ding, ding.
I mean, that one. Like for a second, I heard loathed, and I went, all right, loathed. Maybe they mean evil. They said fictional character. I'm like, no, that's Jar Jar.
Yeah. All right, this is a fun one. What droid has been called a Swiss Army knife that shouldn't be trusted?
That's got to be Chopper, right?
Nope. Not according to this.
Who?
BB-8. I don't know why, and I don't know who called him that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of.
It's got to be Finn, or not Finn.
Poe? No,
Poe.
it can't be Poe, right? Maybe.
Poe would have had
buddy,
to.
right?
Yeah, Poe's his buddy. So Poe had to have been the one that actually say that. But
interesting. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. And then let's try this one. In Attack of the Clones, what Jedi is the most skilled with a lightsaber?
In Attack of the Clones?
In Attack of the Clones, I'm assuming they're referring to the movie. This is somebody's
Mace
like.
Windu.
That would be a good guess, but according to this, their opinion is Yoda.
So interesting. So like usually the official take on like the Jedi Order at the end of the Republic was that Mace Windu was their best swordsman.
Okay.
And that's why at one point Anakin describes Obi-Wan as strong as Master Windu and as wise as Master Yoda.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe that's true, but I feel like that one's wrong.
I think they're saying that because in the movie when Yoda's like hobbling and then suddenly he's doing all his flippies. Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the technical term for it is and flippies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think that goes without saying.
Yes.
But we said it anyway.
We said it anyway. All right. Before we get into the breakdown, of course, we have to have some sort of a Star Wars news segment. This is very weak because most of the news right now is all about Mando. So we're very excited about that, but.
Star Wars news.
Nick is. Oh, you're checking it to make sure.
I was actually listening to make sure we were getting some volume out of it,
and that's a good thing because we didn't even bother checking that. We saw it on our end, and it looked fine.
We're such pros now that we just assume things will go right.
Yes, that is true. That is true, and we are also such pros that we get fan mail from a good friend who actually she just saw our Instagram video and she was the first one in. So Julie, we're just going to leave it at Julie. You can figure it out if you look at all our stuff. So Julie sent us an email. So I told her that I would read it on the show because she has some questions.
I'm ready for it.
And here we go. So, hi, Rob and Nick. I started listening to you during the pandemic after hearing about you from Ears Up, and I'm so glad I did. You are my favorite podcast to listen to. She must not listen to many podcasts.
Hey, man. Probably. Yeah, I can't. That's fine.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, though.
Thank you very much, Julie. And I look forward to all of your episodes. I am 43 and have 2 older brothers who love Star Wars, so I've been a fan since I was young. My real obsession started during the pandemic when I first watched The Clone Wars, and it hasn't stopped since. I read books, listen to podcasts, and love learning all things Star Wars. That's why I love your podcast. Your knowledge... She must be talking about your knowledge because mine is just from a book.
No.
Your emotional connection, your humor, it keeps my obsession of Star Wars fueled. She's very nice.
Yeah, this is
a great email.
Can you maybe print this out for me?
I know,
on,
right?
Nice
Frame it
paper,
on nice paper, put it in a frame. Yeah. I have a question.
I'm going to show my mom.
Mom, look, people love me.
People like me.
They really do.
I mean, my mom is one of the only people who shares our stuff on Facebook.
That is true, yes. You don't even share it on Facebook. Julie. Yeah. I have a question for you both that has been on my mind after watching the Mandalorian trailer and seeing Grogu and the Order 6016. And because I just finished watching Rebels for the second time, gets better every time. I agree with that.
We had some good Rebels stuff happen today.
I love. Yes, there was definitely some good Rebels, and I'm sure Julie saw it in there.
Yep.
Do you think Grogu and Kanan escaped together as they were both young? Do you think they might have ended up crossing paths, hiding out and escaping, and hiding out from the Empire together? Do we know of any other young Padawans or younglings who survived? Just thought that might be a fun tie-in for those two to have gone on some adventure together. Can you imagine it would be like a Disney short cartoon? It'd be
Yeah,
like young Kanan and Grogu like hanging out together. That'd be really
I'd
fun.
watch that. I have a baby. I'd watch that in a second.
You would, yeah.
I'd watch that
It'd be like
without the
Muppet Babies, but it'd be like Kanan babies.
Dude, I would
Muppet
totally watch
Babies.
a Star Wars-esque Muppet Babies show.
Yes.
Like just little baby freaking Anakin with a lightsaber and like fighting with his like neighbor
And-
Darth Vader. Or,
and they
like,
would
you know,
all have to be
Emperor.
together. Like Anakin would be, even though like it would like Anakin fighting with like Chewbacca and like Luke and like all them all together as like babies, like big heads and
Yeah,
like
man.
it would be a lot of fun. They'd have like instead of real lightsabers, they just have sticks and they just be beating each other.
Or like plushies, you know.
Plushies,
like-
yeah.
like
Yeah, there you go. One of my Kanan has quickly become one of my favorite Jedi, and I love some more Kanan on any any rebel crew to show up again. I agree. I like Kanan a lot as well.
Yeah, you used his name for a while for
Yeah,
like video gaming.
yeah.
and stuff,
I
didn't you?
was going by Kanan in video games. Also, one of your recent podcasts, you were talking about Star Wars merch, and I couldn't help but say in my head, Spaceballs the T-shirt, Spaceballs the coloring book, Spaceballs the breakfast cereal, Spaceballs the flamethrower.
The
Kids love
love
that
this
one. Best movie. She should go back and listen to our April Fool's show from I think 2 years ago. We talked about Spaceballs
sure
the
did.
theme park.
We sure did.
She said, "Thanks again for being something to look forward to, learn from, and laugh with." Julie.
Oh, thank Julie.
Thank you, Julie. So to answer her question,
there were a lot of questions.
There were a lot of questions. First one: do you think Kanan and Grogu escaped together? And do we know of any other younglings that escaped during Order 66?
So yes, we know Cal Kestis.
Okay,
During
yes.
Order 66, but he wasn't in the temple. He was, I believe, on a ship with his. So that's from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
Which again, the new one's coming out soon, and I
Yes, and
still
you
don't
still
have
can't.
a PS5.
Nope.
What are you gonna do?
You need to start selling feet pics on.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You know, there's there's someone out there. I'm sure.
Someone will love to buy it.
Some one person. Anyway,
That's right.
We were already talking about our Star Wars feet pics on OnlyFans.
Yeah,
we were gonna
and
make.
all the alien Star Wars feet pics.
we got to get some equipment for the studio.
We got to start doing that.
So Cal Kestis definitely was another one who escaped. We know that. I mean,
Broom Boy was Broom Boy before or after?
He was after. He was
after.
in the later. But no, because we know from Obi-Wan, right? In the Obi-Wan series, we found out about these.
Oh yes,
Padawans that escaped. We know that. What's her name?
Yeah, because they had the Underground Railroad for the Jedi, basically. Because they had all the names on the wall and stuff like that.
They mentioned Quinlan Voss specifically as someone who was helping out with it. So we know Quinlan Voss. He wasn't a Padawan, but he survived. And didn't Quinlan Voss wasn't he boyfriend girlfriend with Asajj at one point or something?
Yes,
But she died, right?
She died. Yes, and Asajj Ventress, that one, yeah. And I think because she was bad.
Yes, and then she became good.
And then she became good.
But
yeah.
he became bad.
He became bad, I think.
And she helped. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
It was a whole mess. Yeah.
Anyway, yes, there are others. I'm trying to think of what their names were. And the Inquisitor, I mean, all of the Inquisitors are fallen Jedi that mostly were taken during the Purge.
So they may have been kidnapped, basically, from from if they were in the temple or whatever, captured and kidnapped.
And because that's what happened.
And tortured, because who was torturing them?
The Grand Inquisitor or whatever. But I don't remember who was. But in the Fallen Order games too, there's several. Off the top of my head, I'm not remembering what their names are, but the one who Cal kind of hangs out with the whole time is a former Jedi whose Padawan was taken during the Purge.
Okay.
And became an Inquisitor. So there's loads of those stories, but we only know of a few that I'm off the top of my head that were Padawan, like Grogu and Cal Kestis and Kanan. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else who I can think of off the top of my head that we know of right now that not only survived the Order 66 but didn't get captured and turned.
Okay. And I mean there could be more still in hiding, which is easy for writing purposes.
Right. You could argue Ahsoka was
true,
but
yes.
she left the Jedi, and I think that they technically were going to knight her when they invited her back.
Yes.
But she said no.
She said no.
So yeah, that's that. The other part is, could Kanan and
Grogu
have
have
known each
hung
other?
out.
I think that's certainly possible because they were there at the same time. The only thing that's weird is that weird aging thing with Grogu. You know, like
Right.
50 years later, he's
still
still a baby.
He's still a baby. So how much of a baby was he 50 years ago?
Or I guess it would be at this point 30 or so years ago, right? So Kanan is, by this point, Kanan is Dunzo.
Yeah, because Kanan
Kanan
was before episode 4. Yeah.
So, yeah, but because again, Kanan was an adult. Here we are, like 20 or so years later, and
so
Grogu's
he's
still a baby.
Probably in his 60s to 80s, depending on how much of an adult he was.
It would be interesting to think that maybe a young Padawan Kanan helped get a little baby Grogu out.
Right.
You know, like maybe he was part of, you know, we still don't know what the hell Grogu was doing in that giant bunker surrounded by thugs that no-name thugs.
Yeah, when we first met him in episode 1 of season 1, we don't know how he got there, what he was doing there, who had him there for that matter.
It could be that, you know, they came in and they killed everyone and they were actually there to protect the kid because it was a bounty hunter going to get him.
Right. Right. So, so the bad guys in that could have actually been good guys trying to protect him, and now we find out that this bounty hunter killed all the good guys who were just there to protect him. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe with the scenes that we saw in the preview where we see a whole bunch of Jedi fighting, the rumors are that that's going to be a flashback of some sort to,
I would have to imagine, to Order 66.
Order 66.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll find out more how Grogu got out, who got Grogu out, and maybe we'll see a young Kanan in the process.
And, you know, I think it's pretty likely we'll see that within the next episode or two because I think they proved us right today in that there was a lot of stuff from the
from the
promos
previews that was in episode
in
1.
Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully that's, you know, we've only been given a taste of kind of what's to come.
What's to come, yeah. So if you have questions for us to stumble through the way we just did through Julie's question there, please contact us on all of our social medias. Nick knows what all of them are.
I do. We used to have it recorded, and now I actually have to say.
Now you have to actually, yes.
We are on email. You can email us at banthamilkpodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out on Instagram at banthamilkpodcast. You can check us out on Facebook at banthamilkpodcast. You can go to our Facebook group, Sacred Jedi Text. That's facebook.com/Sacred Jedi Text. If you're one of the 5 people who still use Twitter, you can check us out on Twitter at Banthamilk. You can also check us out on TikTok. We have nothing up there, but you can go there anyway.
You can go there.
And wow, I actually sped through that. Check out all our friends on the Ears Up Network. They're great.
Sacred Jedi Text.
Yeah, they're a great one.
They're a great one. Sacred Jedi Text is the best one on
the Ears
Scraping the
Up
Vault. What's the other
Supreme
one?
Resort.
Supreme Resort, and now PewniePod.
PewniePod, that's right.
PewniePod, that's the other one.
I
Yep.
just want to point out that I just made it entirely through that segment, and I didn't reference tacos once.
You did not, and they're very happy for us for not making fun of their name and saying it wrong.
I do like tacos, though.
I do as well. So that's the first bit of news. Thank you, Julie, and anybody else wants to ask us questions, do so as well.
Do it.
Disney Emoji Blitz. Do it. Disney Emoji Blitz. At one of these Star Wars days,
This is
I
the
think
game that you downloaded, right?
I downloaded this game for it on a Star Wars day because they had a Star Wars section. I was having a lot of fun. I'm still having a lot of fun playing it. It's fun to keep playing through. Jason was talking about Marvel Snap. Have you played that at all?
I haven't.
Okay. So it's like a card game. There's like 3 stacks where you can put cards. It's a turn by turn. There's 6 rounds that you can turn over cards, things like that. It's fun. I started playing it. Jason was talking about how he was playing it a lot on Ears Up the one day, so I started playing it. It was fun. So if you're into Marvel and you want to do that, apparently they're coming out with a Disney card game similar to it very soon, which will have more Disney characters rather than just the Marvel characters. But that's fun. That was a game I started to play.
Marvel
but back to
Snap, you said it's called?
Marvel Snap.
I'll
Yeah.
check it out.
Disney Emoji Blitz, though, it's like a Bejeweled game, but
Right.
with a timer, so there's a lot more stress in it. They have a new Star Wars update right now to go along with Mando, and I have a complaint.
Okay.
There's a section where it's one of these pay to win type of things. So they have gems, which are very hard to come by unless you can spend some money on them. But yeah, some 900 of them for $10,000 or something ridiculous, whatever. But they have a box that you can get, a diamond box, which one character in the diamond box costs 200 gems. So it took me a while to get up to 200 gems. And every time, for every promo, stuff like that, they changed what the characters are inside this diamond box. So this one is all Star Wars people. I gave them my $200. Of course, or 200 coins, not $200,
Right.
200 gems. I earned all these gems through 2 years of playing. All of the characters except for one are rare, which means twice as hard to get.
Right.
So, of course, the very first one you're going to get is the non-rare one. Guess what the non-rare one is? And I'm angry. So, it's Mandalorian based. But
Non-rare. It's got to be Grogu, right? Or...
no, that would be like a fun one. I would like Grogu.
Oh, okay.
Something that I'm like, why is this still here?
I don't know, man.
And not in a Krill way where you're like, oh, he was awesome. Cara Dune.
Oh, okay. And I love it. They snuck her in a little bit.
Yeah, and they did it in this episode. And
They're
I
like,
was like,
oh, she's gone.
Yeah.
Don't worry about her.
Don't
You
worry
don't
about
need
her.
to know about her.
yeah,
It's
we
Cara
can
Dune.
talk more about her in the episode when we get to that
Yeah.
point. But yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
no.
not a good one.
So I'm like, why is Cara Dune still in here when she was fired for, not her,
And
but
does it look like her? Like, is her?
I mean, it's an
image?
emoji-ish version of her.
Okay.
Like, it's only just the head, and it's got a little
Right.
ponytail type thing. And yeah, I didn't know who it was until I saw the name, but once I
Right.
saw the name, I go, okay, whatever. But still, she was fired. She said a lot of non-Disney things. They wiped her off of the show, but yet 200 gems that people spend either money for. It was $5 to buy 200 gems if you wanted to buy it. Or, you save up 200 gems to finally open up a box, and the one you get is Cara Dune. I was like, this is ridiculous. So that is my complaint.
So what
there.
else did you get?
That was it because I didn't buy any things.
Oh, so you only get one.
You get one for 200 gems, which took me like 6 months to get
Wow.
those 200 gems,
Yeah, that's not good at all.
and I got Cara Dune.
I thought you got that plus some other ones.
No,
I
that's
thought you-
it.
Okay, so now that that's not good at all.
Yeah, so I wanted to hopefully, and it's random. So you could get a second Cara Dune, which would put her at level 2, make her even stronger. But I don't want a second Cara Dune. She should
does?
not be in this loot box at all. She should be completely taken out of it. That's my my take on that. 2 other little fast news articles that I have. Agree. The Mandalorian series creator Jon Favreau gets honest about plans for the Disney Plus series finale. He says, I'm just going to read the 2 quotes that he has. Favreau said, following his plans about his plans for the Disney Plus series, I think the beauty of this is that it's a middle chapter of a much larger story. I thought we'll have resolution over time with these characters. It's not like there's a final that we're building to that I have in mind. Quite the contrary. I love for these stories to go on. And so these characters potentially could be with us for a while. I really love telling stories in their voice, and I love the way the adventures unfold, and I'm looking forward to doing much more. As for the future seasons, he said the following. Season 4, yeah, I've written it already. Pretty good.
news.
We have to know where we're going to tell a fully formed story. We have mapped it out. Dave Filoni and I have slowly... Dave Filoni and I, and slowly you start to write each episode. I don't know what that means. I was writing it during post-production, and all of it has to feel like a continuation of one full story. So the good news is he's already written season 4, so we should at least get another season out of it.
Right.
So that's very exciting about that. So I wanted you to tell you that we have at least another.
We like that. This
we
is
like
all good
that.
news.
Yes. And then this was a fun one. There are, do you know the 7 forms of lightsaber?
Oh God.
The 7 lightsaber forms?
I certainly don't. I mean, there's, man, it's been so long. Like I knew them all when I was playing Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Okay.
All
All right. Well, I'll tell you. I'll butcher the names, and then
Okay.
you can tell me how to actually say them.
Okay.
So first form is Shi-Cho.
Yeah, Shi-Cho.
Shi-Cho. The basic form of lightsaber combat and described in Legends material as a method focused on letting the mystical force guide a Jedi's movements has been called Shicho. They have a picture of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader from Episode 4. So this
because they're just like me.
I was going to say this is also called we had no idea what we were doing when we did this.
Yep.
And didn't know it was going to turn into something amazing.
See, they were actually using a very advanced form of fighting wherein they were letting the mystical energies of Force do the fighing for them. That's why they didn't have to look like cool dudes or anything. They could look like idiots with sticks.
What was there was one game, it was like one of the Mortal Kombats or something like that, and there was like the drunk form of battle, and your character character was always like, ugh, but then it, like, because of his
drunken boxing or something like that,
because of his looseness, he was able to defend and everything really well. Makishi,
spell it.
Makasmakashi.
Is there an H?
There is an H. Makashi. Makashi, heavily inspired by fencing and featured most prominently anytime Christopher Lee's character, Count Dooku, is on screen.
That's why he had that hilt he had.
Yes, because it was like a fencing hilt, yes. So this is when they learned, hey, people might actually want us to be able to do real sword fighting with these.
Yeah.
Soresu.
Soresu.
The defensive technique employed by Obi-Wan Kenobi has been labeled as Form 3 by the original expanded universe and is one of the few styles that remain consistently depicted after Disney's acquisition. Form 4, Ataru. The style that mostly prominent features superhuman acrobatics and twirls is called Form 4 by Legends material and is used most notably by characters like Yoda.
Yeah.
DJEM.
Gemso.
The heavily dominant fighting style employed by Darth Vader and other aggressive fighters in Star Wars became known as Gemso. And then Niman. The fluid and bounce style used by Ahsoka with her two lightsabers and back and forth approach is a holdover from the prequel era style that the Legends refer to as Niman. This style was described as balance between offense and defense. And Vapad.
That's Mace Windu's.
Mace Windu's, yes. Used by Samuel L. Jackson, Mace Windu's was termed by the Legends continues defined by its aggressive and straight-to-the-point attitude. Much like the choreography of Vader, Windu's style was direct and meant to end the fight immediately, but this time without the dominance and rage that featured for the villain.
So the whole thing with that particular style, which is what made Mace Windu such an interesting character, is that it's as close as you can come to drawing on the dark side of the Force.
Oh, without
if you're not super really disciplined, you should not.
Okay, you shouldn't go that far.
Use that style.
Okay.
And that was the thing with Mace Windu is he was able to it makes him such an interesting gray almost character in that he almost drew on his anger and his darkness in a way that was almost dark side. But again, if you look it up, they specifically mention the fact that you come pretty dangerously close to drawing on the dark side.
Okay.
For using it.
Yeah. So you're right there on the edge of teetering between good and bad. Did you see, and I think we talked about it before, but since we're talking about the 6 styles, the guy who said, how come nobody ever used this style before where as he went to hit his blade to somebody else's,
he turned it off
and then turned it back on right away.
Yep.
Which was a pretty fun one.
Yeah.
One more fun little thing here. This keeps popping up all over my Instagram from SayTaylor05, CETAYLOR 5. He's a DJ, and now I have to get it to go back again. But he has it listed as you're at a wedding, and the bride and groom like Star Wars.
Oh, man.
It cut off shorter. He has another one where it goes even longer than that. But
That's pretty rad, though.
But he took it and just scratched in there, and then suddenly it's the Imperial March. And in his video, he's DJing on the one cut, and then the other angle, he's dancing. And when it cuts into the Imperial March, he was like, "Whoa!"
Love it.
So that was pretty fun. Right before we go to our commercial break and then come back and talk all about The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, I want to tell you our good friend of the show, Tom, I said, have you watched it yet? And he goes, no. He goes, haha, I will predict. They will fly around. Mando will say, stop touching my ship to Grogu. They will meet up with Grief Karga. He will get a job, end credits. So that was his prediction for episode 1. Wasn't too far off.
No, I mean, the details, don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff, but it's in there somewhere. So, yeah, so we are going to go to a commercial break or not, probably not. We're just going to pause for a second, and then we're going to start talking to you all about Mando Season 3, Episode 1. Spoilers ahead. Is that like an ASMR kind of?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to do like...
Yeah. All right, commercial.
Product.
Buy it.
Yay.
Get it. Yay.
Money.
We love it.
Capitalism. Anyway. The Mandalorian. Has returned. All right. Overall impression. What do you think?
Episode 1 was fun. I felt like it was, well, do you know how many days it's been since season 2 finale to now?
I don't.
803 days.
That's a lot of days.
That is a lot of days. So I felt like it was hey, we've been gone for 803 days.
Has it been over 2 years?
2020, December 18th, 2020 was the last episode of Mando season 2.
That's awful.
It is awful. So it was like, hey, we've been gone for 803 days. Here's all the characters that you forgot all about. So it was fun. I liked it. Yeah. It was a good start to the new season. I have a question for you about this.
Go ahead.
And I asked Tom, and he said no. But I thought, do you think Star Wars should focus on, and especially Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, should they focus on just doing one show amazing and give us a longer Mandalorian? Because I feel like Mando is the pinnacle of the Star Wars TV shows on Disney+.
So I would agree with that. It's funny, I was talking to Brian, our buddy Brian, today. Brian's been on the show several times. And he was a little underwhelmed.
Okay.
Because he was so enamored with Andor.
Okay.
And the writing and like how like it's a very different show than
much different show
Mando.
than yes.
And I loved it too, but he said like he was just kind of going into it with like that thought in mind, like after that maybe they're going to boost it a little bit.
Okay.
And it was the same Mando that we knew earlier, which he said, he still liked a lot. But for him, Andor is like pinnacle of Disney Plus shows.
Sure.
Now I loved Andor, and I think the writing is way better than Mando, just like the dialogue and so but it's meant to be that way. It's an intrigue, it's a drama.
Yes.
But the second that like Naboo fighter cruiser came over, that giant freaking alligator, and we heard that Mando theme and those instruments, I was like, yeah, I'm back.
Yeah,
this is the stuff.
Yeah,
I'm in there with you. Mando is my favorite for sure.
So I said to Tom, I said I would, although I loved Andor as well, and I love, like you said, Andor for a completely different version of storytelling than what Mando is, but I haven't even watched this week's episode of The Bad Batch yet, and I've watched Mando. Well, funny story. I've actually watched it 2 times already.
Okay.
But have started it 4 times. But both the 2 times that Wednesday, I was like, okay, it comes out at 3 a.m. I'm going to set my alarm clock. Wow. And I haven't set my alarm clock for any of the shows since Mando season 2.
Right, yeah.
That
says enough right there.
Right there, that I'm willing to wake up in the middle of the night to watch this show. So, of course, I couldn't sleep because I was like, it's like Christmas Eve night type of thing. So 12:30, I wake up and I'm like, oh, maybe they released it early. So I go and I check, nothing there. Go back to sleep. 1:45, I wake up again and I'm like, oh, maybe they released it now. Still nothing. 3:15, I wake up and yes, it's here. So it was there. So I hit play. I put my headphones on because I don't want to wake the wife. And I hear the opening music a little bit, and that's all I heard.
Yeah, you fell asleep.
I fell asleep. It was like it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I woke up again at like almost 5, and I looked at my watch, and I'm like, oh, it's only 4:45. I'm like, okay. And I have a hard time. If I wake up in the middle of the night, a lot of times I need music to go back to sleep, or I need something to go back to sleep. Otherwise, my brain starts going and I can't turn it off.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, I'll put this on. I'll watch it now. back asleep
fell
again. Fell asleep
Love
again.
it.
I heard little bits and pieces throughout the night of different people talking here and there, whatever. So then yesterday I watched it and I was like, oh, that's that part that I heard and whatever.
Right.
So I did watch it twice yesterday, for real, and then 2 other times tried to in the middle of the night.
Sure. I watched it twice today because I watched it like first thing during my prep period while I was doing a bunch of stuff, and then when I got home, Pagan was watching it.
Okay.
I was like, sweet, let's do this.
Let's
again.
do it again. Yeah. And like I haven't watched any of the Bad Batch twice. Episodes of the Bad Batch twice. Andor, I think I probably would watch Andor a second time again.
Mm-hmm.
And especially now that it's all complete,
Right.
I would love to binge it and watch it all, 6 hours or whatever, however long it is for the
Right.
whole thing. Because Andor was very, very good. I haven't gone back to Obi-Wan. I haven't gone back to Book of Boba Fett. The only thing I would rewatch in Book of Boba Fett was the Mandalorian episode.
Right. I think I rewatched Obi-Wan.
Okay.
I really liked Obi-Wan, but definitely didn't rewatch Boba Fett,
Yeah.
which, is
Yeah.
interesting considering all the Boba Fett stuff you've got just right behind you, right?
And a kid asked me the other day, who's better, who's your favorite, Mando or Boba Fett?
Mando.
And I said, well, if you talk about old Boba Fett, meaning episode 4, 5, 6 Boba Fett, the Boba Fett that no incinerating, is that what he says to him? No incinerating?
Disintegration.
No disintegrations. That Boba Fett, I think I would put that Boba Fett over top of Mando. But if you take the complete package of Boba Fett between old Boba Fett and then Dad Bod Boba Fett, I'm going with Mando over the complete package of Boba Fett.
Well, we've mentioned this before. I think Mando is what we all expected Boba Fett was. But Anyway, we open up.
So we open up. This episode is called The Apostate.
Yes.
Which, did you know what apostate was before this? Okay, sure. I did not, and I was wondering how many people had to Google what the
Probably
word apostate was.
Yeah.
So I Googled it. A person who renounces a religious or political belief or principle. So that's what an apostate is.
Yeah.
So this was because he took his helmet off, so he is the apostate now.
Yeah, how dare he?
How dare he? But then we open up on the first scene, and did you think it was a flashback?
I did. I thought it was Din.
I thought it was Din as well.
I thought, this is, and when I saw Paz Vizsla, I thought, maybe he's kind of old, like because he was still in his armor. When I first saw Paz Vizsla, that was when I was first like, maybe it's not a flashback. But I definitely thought it was him getting his helmet.
Right. I definitely thought so too. And of course they did that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
The kid, I don't know what nationality or descendants, but he looked like could be a young Pedro Pascal.
Mm-hmm.
Long hair, could be, and very similar to the young Din Djarin that we saw in previous seasons too. So it definitely could have been him. And then you said the giant crocodile turtle that jumps
crocodile
out.
snapping turtle.
Snapping turtle. Yeah, he reminded me a little bit in Jurassic World when the giant thing came out and ate. Reminded me a little bit of that. And then also in Star Wars Galaxies, they had these things called the Ravenous Tortons, which were on, I forget what planet it was, but they were just giant turtles that were just enormous.
Okay.
So seeing the shell reminded me of that.
I love that they incorporated some real life alligator crap into it. Like he spun
the death roll,
which is totally a thing, and except an enormous freaking man.
Right. Yeah.
It was big.
And I found it interesting. Now maybe because we saw Mando blow up the what was the sand dragon thing?
Oh, crate dragon.
Crate dragon. From the inside, I'm like, no. And it was like a turtle, which has a hard shell on the back. When they put the bombs on the back of it, I go, you got to put it underneath. Like his shell's the hard part, or throw bombs into his big mouth or whatever. But it was
open in the big mouth quite a bit.
He was.
They could have thrown one in.
But they were shooting him, and we saw Paz Vizsla's Gatling gun. Yeah. So all these things were we saw a flamethrower. Yeah. So I was very happy about that because you can't have an episode of Mandalorian without a flamethrower action.
We saw the armorer go in and grab the kid and save him.
Yep.
And then now this is pod racing.
Yeah.
In comes Din Djarin, our buddy Kyle, to save the day from the people who don't even like him.
Yep. And he opens up he blasts him a couple times, lands his ship, opens up the window, and it was like, but that's funny because I was thinking he was like, Now can I be in your little Death Watch club, please? I just saved your lives.
Nope.
Still no.
Keep your helmet on and go away.
And go away. So then this episode was fun because it was like 4 different parts, like 4 different major things going, not major things, but 4 different things going on in one episode. So it was a lot of fun. Then the title scene, then we're flying around with Grogu and Norman, and the t-shirt idea of Kyle and Norman, 2 best friends.
Hooray.
Hooray. So they're flying around together. And I like Grogu, like, pops his head out, and they're flying through hyperspace. And
Oh, yeah. This is legit my favorite part of the episode.
and you see in the distance, they just get a little bit clearer, but it's the whales from Rebels.
Yep.
So I'm sure Julie picked up on that also, since she's a huge Rebels fan.
Yeah, and, it makes me, like, either they put that in there just, like, as a nod to us, like, hey, if you watched Rebels, then
this will
look at this. Because, like, why have we not seen them during hyperspace before? Like...
Yeah, I get that, but it was also, like you said, in Rebels we did it. We saw it in Rebels, so...
And I'm also wondering if it's going to become important, because didn't the whales go away with Ezra?
Yes, Ezra went away with the whales.
So they're now bringing the whales into live action, and we've got an Ahsoka show coming up where she's looking for whatever his name is.
Yeah, the blue guy.
Thrawn.
Yes, Thrawn.
Yeah, because it's right there.
I have 6 books back there with his name on it.
So, yeah, it's one of 2, if not both of those things. I think that it was a nod to people who watched Rebels, and again, it was my favorite thing. It was just so cool to see it. And I think it might also be important.
I couldn't tell because I watched it on my iPad, not on the TV, but there was a couple little specks in the middle also. Like the whales were faded, and then there was a couple little specks, and I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be like a reflection in the dome, or if that could have even been like Ezra flying with them somehow, because I forget how he rode with them, but I just remember he did ride away with them, so it would be cool.
So I think him and Thrawn were on a ship, right? And
Maybe,
the whales like carted them off or something.
Okay.
It's been like a year or 2 since I've done a rewatch of Rebels. I should redo it. But yeah, either way, it was rad.
Yeah.
And at one point this might be in the later fight, they're in the starfighter and they go upside down, and like Grogu like falls down. Why is he falling down? They're in space.
They're in space.
So like,
well, because every ship in Star Wars has its own gravity field built into it.
I guess even this
tiny little thing has it as well.
It's
yes.
got like glass windows that apparently keep in the gravity.
yeah. The gravity is held inside, but yes, because they. So it was funny that he was. Yeah.
And he belted himself in underneath the ammo strap.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, gotta hold on here."
Yeah. Anyway, so
after
the whales,
then we go to Navarro,
which has seen yet another billion upgrades.
Yes, and so
your tax dollars at work.
Your Navarro tax dollars at work. John Favreau in an interview has said, and this is the only time that we can actually tell, but he said that Grogu went off and trained with Luke for 2 years.
I did see something about that.
Yes,
so,
before Mando came back and got him, or before he went to Mando. It was supposed to be a 2-year time gap then. And then he was with Mando for 2 years until the time that we see him now. So it's
4 years
either
has
a
passed?
4 to 5 year time frame has passed.
Really?
And the only way that we can tell is from Navarro, because Navarro is
much
now
more built
much
up,
more
yeah.
built up and much cleaner and much a better society.
Right.
But it almost feels like it was last week.
Right.
And, so it was interesting that...
I think they could have done a better job outlining how long has been.
Yes. Yeah.
And maybe they will as we go on. But, yeah, I guess I didn't even think about that because I'm so used to Game of Thrones where, like, time doesn't matter at the end.
Right.
Like, at the end, it was just like, hey, Gendry, go run back to the wall, which is like a 9-day ride.
Yeah.
And send a raven to Daenerys at Storm's End so that she can fly here with her dragon and save us from those guys.
From those guys that are attacking
Right
us
there.
right now. They're right there.
And literally,
Yeah, 3 weeks
in
later,
she comes
here
to
she
save
comes.
the day.
Yeah,
And they're just like chilling, like,
They're-
oh, thank God she got here just in time.
just in time. It's like, wait, what? Yeah.
Anyway, so
Anyway.
yeah, it would have been like, I guess it would have been jarring for them to be like 5 years later, but
Yeah.
I think they could do some.
They could have done
some more
something.
setup
Yeah.
for that.
Or even like let us know, like even if it was like a 2-minute clip of like the two of them like flying around and stopping here, stopping there, doing this, doing that somehow, just so that we know that
To
he's
show the
been
passage
doing
of time,
things.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, and also Grogu's been in this diaper bag, this burlap bag now for 5 more years.
Yep.
Like. Kyle can't get him any other clothes at this point. Come on.
They can't even make him like and at the beginning I thought they were making Grogu a helmet.
Yeah.
Like I literally
yeah.
I don't know why I thought that, but I thought that the armor was about to make like big freaking metal ears.
Big
on
metal
that.
ears or holes for the ears to stick
Yeah.
out. Yeah. So this is the only thing that shows a time jump. And then oh yeah, and then this is the part where I wrote down, welcome, here are all the characters you have not seen in the last 800 days. Grief Karga is now the Grand Leader. What did he call himself?
Grand Marshal.
No, not Marshal, because Marshal was what Cara Dune. He needed a Marshal to be Cara Dune.
Right. Magister?
Magistrate.
Grand Magistrate?
Yeah. Because he was, they're like Magistrate Karga. He's
Grand
like Grand
Magistrate,
Magistrate. He's like giving himself all these titles, which is pretty funny because when Moff Gideon talked to somebody about him 2 seasons ago, he called him disgraced Magistrate
Right.
Karga. Now he's giving himself all these extra titles of Grand Magistrate. Now this is where they explain the Cara Dune thing, which I don't agree with needing this at all.
No,
and
they could have not said a single word, and it would have been better.
it would have been way better.
Yeah,
And the
it was
fact
all
that first they give her this like great exit that she's off with special forces now, which basically leaves that door just a little bit open.
Right.
If she ever says, I'm sorry that I'm a Republican and I feel this way, Disney, will you please take me back?
Right.
And they go, sure, you can come back.
Or else they'll recast her.
Or yeah, but they never recast, and I don't understand why. There's somebody else that they can make look just like her. I mean, they recasted the Cosby's wife and in the Cosby Show. They can
Same
recast
with Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince's mom, and go way back, even before my day, because I used to watch it in reruns. But I Dream of Jeannie, they recasted the Darren.
Hell, how many people do they recast on Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones.
Like Dario Naharis was different from one season to another. They recast the Mountain,
Yeah.
like, who was a pretty central character.
Yeah. And it's like,
possible. It's
no,
doable.
that's not what he looked like. He looks like this now. What are you talking about?
I don't even know what you're saying. Like,
I don't
he's
even know what you're
big.
saying.
What do you mean?
Just
He's a big guy.
He's a big guy. That's all it is. So, yeah. So, I didn't like that. And then the description was that Grief Karga's in jail now. I was like, okay, that's not going to last long. Moff Gideon. Moff
yep.
Gideon's in jail. Yeah, that's not going to last long.
No, they wouldn't have wasted. I feel like it would have been a waste of that actor. you know?
Yeah. And like Giancarlo Esposito, he's in every single group show interview thing. He's in every single one. So you know he's coming back in
Right.
episode 3 at the latest. Like
and we haven't seen a single shot of it.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
of course it's gonna be like third episode.
Yeah,
that's
because
when it'll be. We'll be through all the trailers.
We'll be through all the trailer stuff, yeah. So we got that. And then Mando needs, this is, I didn't understand this part. I thought this was a little, he needs IG-11 for his mission to Mandalore.
Yeah.
No, that one right there.
That guy right
That
there.
guy right there. But we redid some of the parts. That's okay. And I thought it was really funny when
They took him
they
down.
took him
and it was
down,
just his leg and an arm.
the leg and an
gun.
arm. But maybe I saw it wrong. Like I said, I watched it on my iPad, so it wasn't quite as big. When the IG-11 was laying on the table, he had a right arm. And I could have sworn on the statue the right arm was still up in the air holding the gun.
I think the right arm was up in the air on the statue.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have I'm like rubbing my head. And I have a headache. But
So
yeah, now like I'm literally, because that's like the scene I walked in with Pagan watching, and like it was stopped at that moment.
At that moment, yeah. So I'm like, wait, did something is flipped somewhere? Whatever. So he needs IG-11, specifically IG-11, because he's
That
the
one.
only because he's the only droid. That's his friend. He's the
it's
only
his
one that
buddy.
he trusts. And
Which,
then,
of course, is so sweet. And then they get him all back together, and he tries to kill them
and he
all.
tries to kill everybody. He must kill
Let's kill the target.
The target.
Or whatever it is.
Whatever he says, yeah. So that was pretty funny. And they couldn't shoot. He shot him. Mando shot him 12 times. Nothing was happening. But luckily, there's this giant bronze bust of Carl Weathers that
Yep.
falls over.
And like knockoff C-3PO just happens to be standing right behind him. And be like,
yeah. Whoop.
And the animation for IG-88 was interesting. Was it stop motion?
I think it was stop motion because it
looked
was stop
stop
motion before. It looked
Yeah.
very, very stop motion-y.
Yep.
And then, of course, they have the greatest line of all time, way to use your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. I the second time I heard that, I was like, okay, it's Star Wars. I'll allow it.
Yeah, I'll allow it. I don't like it, but I'll allow it. And then Carl Weathers says, "Oh, well, here we have the best droid repair people in all of the galaxy, in all of the Outer Rim."
Of course.
An intro, Beebo, Babu Frick. I love I agree with Baby Yoda on this one. I agree with Grogu. I want to pick him up and squeeze him and hug him
Yep.
and give him.
Bad baby.
That was
broke.
so amazing.
Droid broke. Bad baby.
But I like. This is what Tom and I were talking about. In Marvel, in Quantumania, Ant-Man and Quantumania, just now. I don't know if you saw it
I
yet
have
or
not,
not.
but that's fine.
In the very beginning, it's not a big crucial point. They don't understand anything that people are saying in Quantumania. They have to drink this shot of something, and this liquid allows them to be able to translate what is said in these foreign languages, this foreign speak, into something that they can understand. So then for the rest of the show, we understand what everybody says because we all drank the jungle juice.
Okay.
I like that. Star Trek has their universal translator right here. It automatically translates everybody's words, except sometimes we still hear real Klingon mixed in there. Star Wars, everybody just speaks English.
Well, it's called Galactic Basic.
Galactic Basic.
Which is interesting because the written form of it is Arabish, supposedly, right? Like,
yeah.
it is weird. But
It
like,
is weird, yes.
Yeah, Galactic Basic / freaking English. Yeah, it is interesting. And then, like, even the people who don't speak Basic will respond to Basic
Right.
in their language.
In their language, yeah. So it is interesting. Tom was like, I wouldn't mind subtitles. If you're going to have all these aliens, throw some subtitles out there. I'm okay with that. If they speak weird languages and Mando understands it, he can understand Huttese and then he can speak it back. That's fine.
Are you talking about these little guys?
And well, just anybody in general, like the Mon Calamari guy
Right.
walked by and all this other stuff. But everybody speaks great English, except for Babu Frick. He speaks very broken English, but you can still understand him. For some reason,
I
Mando
loved when
couldn't
Grief
understand.
was like,
Yeah.
kept translating.
Like,
I
he
get
says
it.
he can do it. I get it. So that was a very fun scene. It was fun seeing Mando crouched into that
in this
little
tiny little
room.
It reminded me of Luke in Yoda's hut. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
Like just kind of sitting. Yeah, it was silly.
And then Grief on the outside being like, he says this. I know what he says. I get it now.
It's just I love that it's so silly that these tiny dudes have this tiny shop.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
they're gonna have regular sized customers, but they still have this
But
tiny
they still
shop.
have a tiny
It's great.
shop. Yeah, it's really, really funny. So then we get through that and they say, oh, well, if you get us, which this is another part I didn't get. They crush the head, which is where I would assume a lot of the electronics, because droids are made to simulate, to represent humans, I would
Right.
think. So if your brain is up here, that's where you would put the droid's brain as well, which has now been crushed by Grief Karga's bronze head. Oh, just give us a new chip and we'll make it work. So he's like, okay, I'll go get you a new chip.
But isn't the new chip not going to be his buddy anymore?
That's what I was
Like-
thinking. Like,
Like
there's
if you need a new memory chip, like why not just get a new IG unit?
yeah.
Like,
If you're gonna get a memory, like all that's left now is the shell of half of the shell of the body. You took out his memory on top of it. Like I don't know. I don't know how droids work apparently. So whatever. And then we go off to driving school, which was fun. Oh, and we had the run-in with – that was fun. The run-in with the pirates.
Yeah, I like that. We got to see a little bit of Grief being kind of a BA.
Yeah.
And then I don't know who those. I love the costumes and the like the prosthetics and stuff that they're using.
Yes.
But yeah, the pirates were pretty cool. I like
the pirates were very cool, and they Grief and Mando managed to kill all 4 of the extra guys before they could even pull their guns out when they were about to pull their guns out. So that was a lot of fun. Then we go off to driving school. Mando's teaching 50-year-old baby Grogu how to fly a ship.
Yep.
Just as, and
Beep,
this
beep,
is
beep, beep, beep.
this is where the bad guys will show up. Beep 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 beep
Yep.
beep. So then it was a fun, a very fun.
Yeah, the dogfight.
Dogfight.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like the style they did because it was almost like a Batman. Like you know, they're all the villains are afraid. Where is he? Where is he?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they just died. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, here he sweeps in. Where'd he go?
Yeah.
And it makes sense because number one, he's supposed to be this pretty legit pilot, but number two, he's got this souped up freaking Naboo starfighter that's supposed to be like all sorts of experimental.
And
so.
I love the sound effects, especially with the Naboo starfighter. When he starts it up, it sounds like a big, throaty, like dragster V8.
Yep.
And then it giving you some like popping and hissing, and it's almost like it's a tuner car, like a Japanese import car that's been all souped up. That's like
a Honda Civic,
like a
that you
Honda,
see, like some of these guys just soup up
with
and
the
drive down there.
exhaust pipe going way out of the back. Blah, blah. Yeah, so it was fun combining all those engines together, and even when they made it, like it's got what looks like would be where the V8 engine will be sticking out of the hood of it and all that
I
stuff.
want to see Johnny Jalopy do a
mock-up of this thing. I could ask him to do it, and he probably would on a show. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. It was really good. The special effects, I mean, it was way better than what they said was Kathleen Kennedy's reasoning for the
race?
Vespa scooter race. Like, this was super fast, super quick. You see an explosion, where'd he go? And then, the Naboo starfighter goes by, and then another one. Yeah. Yeah.
Give me a push.
So that was really fun. And then he gets out of that. He's like, I have no beef with you, whatever.
Yeah, the guy with all the like vines hanging from his face.
he was funny. He looked like
he looked
like a green Gritty.
He did look like a green Gritty. Like Gritty mixed with the Swamp Thing.
Or even from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
the guy
Davy
with
Jones.
Yeah, Davy Jones with the tentacles. It was like a green space Swamp Thing, Gritty Davy Jones type character.
Yeah.
So
I liked him. Yeah, and again, good practical effects. Like you can always tell, like when they do it like that way, that like the mouth isn't really lining up right.
Yeah.
But they've gotten so much better at making it actually look like speech. Like it's not just like this, like the mouth going like this. There's actual motion.
There's motion in it.
Like when they say words, like their mouth makes the shape of those words a little better now.
Rather than just opening and closing. Yeah.
So that was great.
That
and
was
then
fun.
He just like I guess pressed the NOS.
He turned the NOS on. Yeah, that's
He
exactly
just
what he did. He
blew
just
past him.
NOSed right past him. He was Dom Toretto when he's like, it's too early, pal. And then and then he won.
We're family.
We're family.
You don't talk to my family like that.
The very first episode of that very first race lasted 3.5 minutes. A quarter mile, or even they do like 8th mile, which is even shorter. 8th mile races last like 20 seconds.
Yep.
This is 3.5 minutes. It was the longest drag race of all time.
Well, they were just getting lots and lots of angles.
They were.
You saw it from over here, and then you saw the same angle over here.
So, anywho, but yeah, so he gets away from the space pirates, and which I thought was fun that it was kind of like the Davy Jones character, since they were pirates, and Davy Jones is a pirate.
And they were like, leading them back to their main ship.
To their main ship, yeah. And then
they spoke like they said Avast.
Yeah,
they literally said Avast.
They said Avast, like they were pirates. Like you wanted them to hoist the what's the
black flag?
The black flag, yeah, the skull and crossbones.
What do they call that? That's like a Jolly Roger.
Yeah, the Jolly Roger. You were waiting for to see the Jolly Roger at the back of it, and then he leaves there and he goes to talk to Bo-Katan.
Yeah, at her castle.
And
she's the only one there, her and her droid. She's sitting, just hanging out in her throne. I guess that's where she just hangs out.
So I was going to ask you, because this is like a very Game of Thrones moment here also. Yep. Like, the king is just sitting on this giant throne.
Alone.
Bo-Katan's just sitting here. There's nobody else around. Like, what does one think about for hours on end? This is my throne.
And like, she was in there when he came. Was that where she was, or did like the droid say, "Hey, he's coming. Maybe hop on your throne."
Hop on the
cool.
throne. Like what's going on there?
It's either that happened, or else she's just been hanging out there for a while. And she
She's
said
been-
her men have melted away.
Yeah.
So is it literally just her sitting on this freaking
It's
throne?
just her now. She's like, look, if you guys ever want to come back, I'll be
Throwing
sitting here
a
on
little
this
hissy
throne.
fit because she didn't get the sword.
I'm pouting because you wouldn't fight me with the sword and let me win it and destroy you. You're now the Mandalorian, and Mandalorian means like leader.
The Mandalore.
The Mandalore. Yes, the Mandalore is leader. So she's like, you're the Mandalore now since you have the sword. Meh, meh, meh.
Yeah, she was a little salty.
She was a little salty.
Saltier than Crate.
Yeah, but she did progress the show along because she did say the ruins that you want to go to
It's
are
under the Civic Center.
under the Civic Center.
Yeah, go to the Y.
Go to the Y.
You can go down to the Y in what was the city?
In Philadelphia, there's the Wawa, and then the Civic Center's right next to the
it's right
Wawa.
down the street from that. You won't be able to miss it. Right.
No, make sure you pass Pat Steaks.
That's right.
Pat Steaks, the Wawa, and then the Civic Center will be right there. Yeah.
But the city on Mandalore that she mentioned is the city that we see in Clone Wars.
Yes.
I forget what it's called.
I forget what it's called. I think it started with an S.
It did Serena. No.
Something similar to
I'm
that.
gonna look it up.
something
But
like-
anyway,
yeah.
that was like where we saw a lot of stuff happen in Clone Wars, and we saw Obi-Wan's girlfriend
Yes.
die there, I think.
Yes. So at least now Mando knows what the main city is on it and where he can go. Mike. Avengers Hockey.
Sundari.
There you go. Avengers Hockey said I could have used a Lewis recap from Ant-Man.
Oh, that would have been good. Yeah, after 2 years, I think that would have been. But I hear Lewis wasn't even in the most recent Ant-Man.
He wasn't. No, he wasn't in it at all.
What the hell?
No, what the hell? Yeah.
Messed up.
So, so that would have been fun. Him like telling us, and especially since it was supposed to be a 4 or 5 year time gap, he could have been like, Mando did all these missions and blah 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 blah, and whatever. So that would have been fine. But
it's a Disney IP. You would think they would be able to.
You would think you'd get Lewis to do it. Lewis would just like fly in it, even though it was a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago. Yeah. Anywho, whatever. So, yeah, and that's pretty much how the 37-minute with 5 minutes of commercials and 2 minutes of the recap ended. I do like when they recap random things. Like when they were recapping IG-11.
Well,
you're like, okay, that means that he's going to be in it.
I guess IG-11 is going to be important in this episode, right? Like, it does give something away. It's like, it's good that they want to remind you what happens, but like, so that you're like, oh, I remember that. But like, as soon as you saw that, it's like, well, what other purpose would they have for putting this in here?
Yeah, I was like, if they bring back, what's his name? Queel. If they bring back Queel also, I'm like, I know he's dead.
Yeah, that guy we saw laying on the ground, he doesn't have any parts that we can
shock back together 5 years later.
No,
we can shock him back.
He's got to be gone.
Yeah.
Unless he's a Sith Lord or something, and we don't know about it.
And we don't know if he's Darth Jar Jar Binks, and we don't know about it.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So one thing we haven't done, which I think we should maybe, if we can keep remembering each episode to do, is to maybe give it a grade. I've heard other people give grades and stuff like that.
I think this is the best one of the season so far.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think so. like it's just
that was
far and away better than any other one this season.
That was people's review of the new Ant-Man movie. Yeah. It's the best one of part 6 or whatever it is. Like it's the first one of part 6.
So if I mean, it's hard to grade this alone without considering what came before it. You know, if you're looking at things from like a, Vespa scene over here to like, that freaking first episode of Mandalorian where that like I was just mind blown.
Right
over here.
when he shoots the guy and
chopped him in
half. Yeah, that was like A+.
Yeah. But I would give this a solid B+ to A-.
I agree with that. Yeah.
It's not. It didn't blow my mind, but I think it's the beginning of every Mandalorian season is usually pretty slow because there's world building and like it's
sure.
I think that. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it a lot.
I liked it a lot. I would give it a B+ as well because I liked it a lot. It was, like I said, 803 days since the last episode, so they had to refresh our memory. Some people didn't watch Book of Boba Fett, so they had no idea how Grogu got back or anything like that. So And it was funny, Grief Karga's reaction when he was like, his name's Grogu. He's like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, Grogu. His name's okay, whatever.
And that was such a wink at the audience, that whole line.
Yeah.
Because that was literally Disney, like, and Jon Favreau was Kyle.
Yeah.
And all of us were Grief.
Yeah.
Like, that was
Yeah.
literally it. His name's Grogu. What?
What? That's his name?
Yeah.
Really? That's it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were all Grief Karga
Yeah.
in that scenario. Yes. So I would go with a solid B plus as well. I agree
mean,
with that.
you know, I think an example of one of the Mandalorian episodes that I would rank lower, like quite a bit lower than this one, would be like the Spider episode.
Yeah.
You know, because I still, a season and a half later or a season later, don't understand where that fit into everything.
No,
aside from
and what
just
the purpose
travel
of it was just it was a travel episode, and they wanted to make like a horror episode,
right?
But it was like, yeah, we could have done like in an 8. We talked about what happened in an 8 episode season. We
When
don't
you're
need
only making half-hour episodes.
Yeah, we don't need that now.
And I would hope by the 3rd season they would have started making some longer episodes.
Right.
If I'm being honest.
Avengers Hockey said he said C-, and that grade could be because I watched the final of season 2 the night before, which I can see because he didn't need the recap.
Yeah.
So that could
and he was also all hyped up from like a season finale.
And the season finale had Luke Skywalker in it.
Yeah, I mean that was a pretty rad
blowing
season
through whatever those mega droids were called. I forget what they were called, but he blew through those. But
I forgot that I guess because Book of Boba Fett happened, and he was in that. I forgot that was the last episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
you know, I keep thinking about, I guess, like when we met him in Book of Boba Fett, and like that's still long ago, but not that long ago. But yeah. Wow, all right.
Yeah, and he also
that was a solid season finale.
Yeah, he said Luke coming in to save them was one of the greatest things I've ever seen on television, which was true. Yeah,
I'd agree.
So I mean, he was such a BA scene. Like it was just so amazing.
It's what everyone's been waiting for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've all just been waiting. Like when they were talking about making the new movies, we were like, yes, we get to see Luke Skywalker be a badass. Nope.
We see old grumpy Luke Skywalker.
This is what we were waiting for.
Yeah, this is what we were waiting. Just him tearing everybody down. Like these droids that
they've talked about how amazing of a Jedi he's been for 40 years, and we haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was like old Boba Fett, where it's like no disintegration. He's the most hated and the most feared. That's a feared, notorious bounty hunter, and we're like, so that was what that Luke scene is what Book of Boba Fett should have been.
And the Boba Fett scenes in Mandalorian were what I wanted Boba Fett to be.
Exactly.
Because he was like in that scene where he was fighting when he was first introduced and he got his armor back. He was so rad, and he had his gaffy stick.
Yep.
But they just didn't lean into that in the Book of Boba Fett.
In the Book of Boba Fett, no. It was more like introducing you to Boba, but we didn't need to be introduced to him.
And they made him really fragile, it seemed like, in the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh,
like in Mandalorian, he was this
name
rad
did all the work.
superhero.
Yeah.
And in this one, he was just chilling back to the whole time.
Yeah. What's the girl's name? Fennec Shand.
Fennec Shand.
She did all the work, and he was just, healing the whole time.
Yeah.
Healing. How can I help you?
Yeah.
That was from Disjointed on Netflix, which was a fun comedy show.
Was that the one with who was in that?
Kathy Bates.
I don't know that one.
Oh.
Anyway,
anywho,
so that's the end of our episode.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, so I'd say solid B plus, maybe A minus.
Give it a B
but
plus.
I think B plus.
Yeah.
This is the first of 8, and I'm excited to see what comes next.
I am excited as well. So next Thursday we'll give another recap of episode 2.
So it can be Wednesday next week, I think.
Okay.
Maybe not. It'll be next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Let's keep it consistent.
Yeah, I think.
Can we do that?
I think I have a meeting.
Late at night meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, sometime either Wednesday or Thursday.
Probably Thursday.
We're
going to come back at you with another episode.
There you go. Yes, we will.
More Bantha Milk, more banter.
We'll break down more Bantha Milk, more banter, all about
more of Rob's ever-growing front beard.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I do, man. I was worried that you were chopping it out, but like you're just letting that middle section
I'm letting the middle section grow, yeah.
Nice, man.
That's what I do, yeah.
Well, it is now.
It is
For
now.
a long time, we had to beg you.
I know. It was from November. I haven't shaved, I'm keeping it clean.
What's the plan here? Are you planning on keeping it going?
I was about to shave it all off, and I said to Sherry, I think I'm going to shave it off. She said, why? And I said, okay,
All right.
if you like it.
If the wife likes it,
Then that's fine. So there we go. So that's that.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on yet another episode, our 92nd
92nd episode. Yes.
Stick with us throughout this season of the Book of Boba Fett to get to our Beskar anniversary.
Beskar anniversary. It is
by
official.
The end of the season. Yes, indeed.
Beskar is the 100th anniversary.
Yes,
so
indeed.
that is it.
From all of us here at Bantha Milk Podcast headquarters, we have spoken.
We have spoken.